This is lesson 2.3, example 2, and we're going to be going over how you can find the relationship between the factors of a quadratic function and the zeros of that function on its graph. So they say the graph shows the function defined by y equals x squared plus 2x minus 8. If we take a look at this graph, we see that they've already identified the zeros for us. And when they say zeros, what they really mean are x-intercepts. So whenever we say zeros of a function, what we're really saying is we're looking at our x-intercepts. So they've identified our zeros for us at -4 and +2. And they're asking, how do the zeros of the function that they just showed us on the graph relate to the factors of x squared plus 2x minus 8? So if they want to relate the zeros to the factors, that means we need to find the factors first. So if we take a look at this equation, we've got a equals 1, b equals 2, and c equals -8. So we're going to apply the x method and say on top, okay, we've got a times c, which is 1 times -8, which is going to give me -8. And on the bottom, we have b, which is +2. And now we're looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to -8 and add to +2. So let's take a look at our factors of 8, or -8. So we could do -1 times +8, except when we add those, we get a +7, so that doesn't work. We could do -8 times +1. But again, when we add those, we get a -7. So neither of these are going to work for us. We could do +2 times -4. But when we add these two, we get -2. So we're definitely getting closer, but not quite there yet. And we could do -2 times +4. And when we add -2 plus 4, we get a +2. So here's our two factors. When I look at my equation, I see that a equals 1. So I don't have to do the box method here. I can just write my factors. So I have x minus 2 and x plus 4. So they want to know, how do the zeros of the function relate to my two factors? So here's factored form. Now the way we find the actual factors of the equation are by setting each of my parentheses equal to 0. So I have x minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 4 equals 0. And now we're just going to solve for x. So in our first parentheses, we just add 2 to both sides, and we get x equals +2. And if we look, there's one of our x-intercepts. And if we look at our second one, x plus 4, we subtract 4 from both sides, and we get x equals -4. And there's our other x-intercept. So how do the zeros of the function relate to the factors? Well, they're the same. The zeros of the function are our factors. All we have to do is change the sign. So if our x-intercept is at -4, then we have x plus 4 is a factor. And if our x-intercept is at +2, then we have x minus 2 as a factor. So our zeros are our factors. We just have to change the sign. So now go ahead and do example number 2 on page 40 in your workbook.